Hey there! Welcome to another episode of Critically Speaking. The NBA playoffs are finally here, and the first game of the series are in the books. Today we're going to do a recap and review of how things turned out for each game, the winners, the losers, and everything in between. If you're unfamiliar with the NBA playoffs, each conference consists of 8 teams who compete in a 7-game series. The first team to win 4 games in the series continues on to the next round. There are 4 rounds a team must win in order to be crowned NBA champion. The NBA playoffs are known for producing some of the most memorable moments in basketball history, as well as some of the greatest individual performances from the league's top players. Are you ready? Let's get critical. The first game of the Philadelphia 76ers and Brooklyn Nets series started with strong performances from the new addition Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson. The 76ers found footing from their usual cast, Joel Embiid and James Harden. The Nets sent double teams at Embiid, but he made great decisions out of the double team, staying patient and making the right pass, which was a huge improvement from last year. The Nets were slow to rotate, leaving players like PJ Tucker or Tobias Harris open for uncontested shots. The first half was relatively competitive, but James Harden found his shot outside the arc, and the 76ers closed out the second quarter with a 67-58 halftime lead behind Harden's 17 points and 6 assists. Brooklyn did their best to hang around with an impressive shooting performance, shooting 55% overall and 13 for 29 from three-point range, but the 76ers took 19 more shots. The Nets found themselves turning the ball over 20 times, which the 76ers gladly turned into 31 points and also enjoyed a 14-5 edge in offensive rebounds. Despite Mikal Bridges' 30-point performance, the Nets fell to the 76ers 121-101. In their opening series, the Boston Celtics take on the Atlanta Hawks. The first half looked to be a blowout, with the Celtics taking a commanding 30-point lead into the half. However, a lackluster second half from the C's almost led to an Atlanta Hawks comeback. In the first half, the Hawks were stifled by the Celtics defense, with only DeJounte Murray finding the bottom of the net on most possessions, ending the game with 24 points. The next highest-scoring Hawk being Trae Young with 16 points. The Celtics came out with Game 7 energy on both sides of the ball and seemed locked in, scoring 13 threes and holding the Hawks to just 38% from the field. The Celtics benefited from a stellar performance from Derek White as he finished the game with 24 points, alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's 25 and 29 points, respectively. The second half was all Hawks, as the Celtics relented a 32-point lead. Atlanta used a 32-12 run to cut the deficit to 96-84 on a 3-point play by Bogdan Bogdanovic. Despite the late-game lull, the Celtics were able to push the lead to 13 with less than 2 minutes left to play. Celtics take Game 1 and look to capitalize on home court advantage in their next game. The New York Knicks visit the Cleveland Cavaliers in their first game of the playoff series, which deemed to be closer than the standings and stats suggest. With the reemergence of Julius Randle and star-level play of Jalen Brunson, the Knicks gave Cleveland all they could handle. The Knicks led throughout most of Saturday's contest, but a late rally by the Cavaliers put the result in doubt. Aside from the heroic play of Donovan Mitchell, who dropped 38 points on 46% shooting from the field, the Cavs had no answer to the Knicks' double team on Darius Garland or a lack of support from their bench. Jalen Brunson showed up and showed out in the third and fourth quarters, scoring 20 of his team-high 27 points after halftime. Julius Randle supported Jalen's efforts with a stat line of 19 points and 10 rebounds, but was the only other Knicks starter who finished in double figures. While the starters rested, the Knicks bench did their best to provide stability behind Josh Hart's 17-point 10-rebound performance. The Knicks finished the game with a combined 37 points off the bench. They will look to jump ahead and take a commanding 2-0 lead in the series on Tuesday. The Cavs will need more production from the supporting cast if they plan on taking back home court advantage. The reigning champion Golden State Warriors head to the Western Conference second seed Sacramento Kings for their run at defending the title. If anyone hadn't seen De'Aaron Fox during the regular season, this was a perfect time to see how and why the Kings placed second in the West. Dropping 38 points to tie for the second highest playoff debut in NBA history led the Kings to a 126-123 victory over the defending champion Warriors on Saturday night. This playoff game was special to Sacktown fans, as this was the first playoff game since 2006. The Warriors fought hard behind Steph Curry's stellar performance, scoring 30 points, and support from Klay Thompson, who notched 21 points. However, the Warriors could not rely on their experience alone to overcome the energy and clutch plays of Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox. Fox's abilities were on full display as he weaved into the paint, often throwing up floaters after breaking down the first defender. And when the ball found Monk, he was driving past the defender, often Andrew Wiggins, to make an acrobatic layup. De'Aaron peppered his performance with clutch threes, solidifying his well-rounded game. Curry had the opportunity to play hero with a last-second 3 to tie the game. However, the ball rimmed out and was rebounded by the Kings, allowing them to run the remaining time off the clock. Warriors contribute the loss to a feeling out game. However, they will have to overcome their road challenges, which plagued them all season long, recording an abysmal 9 road wins and 30 road losses over the regular season. The Warriors shot 47% from the field to the Kings' 44%, leading to 31 assists to the Kings' 18 assists. However, the Kings dominated the boards with 17 offensive rebounds to the Warriors' 9. Effort or lack thereof is usually dictated by the rebounding statistics. Missed defensive assignments by the Warriors and extended runs by the Kings led to the Kings knocking off the Warriors in the first meeting in the 7-game series. The LeBron-led Los Angeles Lakers headed to Memphis to take on Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Many were concerned with the aging LeBron and Anthony Davis and whether or not they could take an inexperienced team further in the playoffs than most expected. If this first game was any indication, then the Lakers could be in for another long playoff run. With the surprising rise of guard Austin Reeves and the reacquisition of guard D'Angelo Russell, the Lakers have shown they can work as a team and take on some of the best teams in the league. Granted, the performance of the Lakers was spurred by the explosive game from Rui Hachimura, scoring a team-high and playoff-best 29 points, including 21 in the second half. Austin Reeves added 23 points, including 9 straight in the closing minutes. LeBron had a relatively pedestrian performance, notching 21 points and 11 rebounds. However, the Lakers were locked in and ready to play as a team, playing well within their offense. The Grizzlies had a dominant performance from Jaren Jackson, who scored a game-high 31 points but failed to garner help from his teammates as the next person on the stat sheet to provide points was Desmond Bane, notching 22 points for Memphis. However, the biggest news coming out of the game was Ja Morant's injury to an already injured hand. He scored 18 points before leaving the game and could be seen sidelined with a cast on his hand. The MRI came back negative, but the pain level was a concern, and the team will be monitoring the injury on a day-to-day basis. The Grizzlies will look to bounce back from the home loss Wednesday night, hopefully with Ja Morant at the helm. Back east, the Miami Heat, who just knocked out the Bulls in the play-in tournament, visit the league's best team in the Milwaukee Bucks. Surprisingly, there was little contest in this game and not in the favor of the team you would expect. The Bucks didn't have their best player for most of the game, as Giannis Antetokounmpo left during the first quarter after falling and suffering a back contusion. However, the Heat came with their best player in Jimmy Buckets Butler, who rattled off 35 points and 11 assists. The game was mostly Miami's to lose. Behind Jimmy's performance, Bam Adebayo put up 22 points, helping the Heat finish the game with a blistering 59% from the field, including 60% from 3. However, the Bucks weren't the only team to lose a critical role player, as Tyler Herro broke his left hand in a diving attempt to steal the ball. I feel this loss will prove more detrimental the longer the series continues and if the Heat somehow make it past the first round. The Bucks made the best out of a bad situation with a standout performance from Chris Middleton, who scored 33 points on 12 of 20 shooting. Without Giannis, the Bucks had little answers for Miami in the paint as they scored 62 points around the rim. But with the extra day of rest and the clear MRI, the Bucks should have their fearless leader back in the lineup come Wednesday, where they will attempt to even the series. Los Angeles' other team, the Clippers, headed down to the Valley of the Sun to take on Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. Los Angeles led for much of the game until midway through the third quarter. The Clippers benefited from a vintage Kawhi Leonard show as he scored a game-high 38 points on 13 of 24 shooting. The team also saw great production from veteran guard Eric Gordon, who put up 19 points shooting 50% from the field. Despite a terrible shooting night, Russell Westbrook did his best to keep the Clippers in the game, making all the hustle plays and knocking down 2 late-game free throws to put the team up 3 points. Kevin Durant scored 27 points for the Suns, who lost the first time with him on the floor, as the Phoenix Suns acquired the NBA Finals MVP from Brooklyn midseason. In addition to Durant's efforts, Devin Booker poured in 26 points on 10 of 19 shooting. A good sign for the Suns, though, was the productivity from undrafted forward Torrey Craig, as he dropped 22 points in 26 minutes of playing time, being the most efficient player on the floor, shooting 75% for the night. Despite the Suns' slow start shooting just 31% from the field, Durant got it going, scoring 17 points in the second quarter. The rally wasn't enough, however, to overcome Kawhi and the Clippers. The Suns will look to bounce back in their next game. Hopefully, they'll get into gear earlier and come out firing on all cylinders. Unfortunately, I don't believe the Minnesota Timberwolves have enough firepower and experience to make this series competitive as they take on the Denver Nuggets in their first round series. The Nuggets were the only higher seeded team to win on Sunday as the Lakers, Heat, and Clippers all beat their respective opponents. The Nuggets enjoyed a solid overall team performance led by Jamal Murray's game-high 24 points. Both Michael Porter Jr. and Murray started off slow offensively, so they relied on their defensive prowess, diving for loose balls and crashing the glass until they found their shooting form. That just goes to show, effort and will can turn things around for players struggling to find their rhythm or shot. Being physical, boxing out, making the extra play or pass can mean the difference between a defensive stop or an offensive play. Denver's MVP center Nikola Jokic was excited to see his team in its current form as this roster has been marred with injuries to Murray and Porter in previous playoff runs over the last 2 years, and it showed emphatically as the trio's combined effort led to 55 points, 33 rebounds, and 16 assists with just 2 combined turnovers. All 5 starters scored in double figures. Minnesota did their best to counter behind Anthony Edwards' 18-point performance. However, the team will need to bring more physicality and speed come Game 2. The playoffs are a different caliber of play, and often inexperienced teams get into that gear too late into the series to attempt a comeback. You're not going to win any playoff games scoring only 80 points and shooting 37% from the field. Karl Anthony Towns believes Game 2 will be different, alluding to the effort shown by his team in Game 1. Only time will tell. That wraps up the first of many games during this year's NBA playoffs. Stay tuned for more breakdowns over the next months as the games get more competitive and stories unfold. Who do you think will win it all this year? And what do you think about the playoffs so far? Let me know down in the comment section. Whichever team you're supporting, good luck to you and the team you're rooting for. That's it for today's episode of Critically Speaking. Thanks for joining us as we explore the latest movies, games, and hot topics. Stay up to date with our latest content by hitting that notification bell. And if you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And as always, stay critical.